Guruve Gaura Chandaya Radhikaya Tadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I offer pranams to our Gurudev, Om Vishnupad Chaitanya Swami Sri Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Also, our Shiksha Guru Sri Gaura Govinda Maharaj, Sri Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj, all Vaishnavas, Dandavad pranams. So, chapter 37, the Swarup of Srngara-rasa and Vipralamba. So we could not finish this chapter. So we already heard there are four types of separation. Well, rather, let me say, this Srngara-rasa is two types, meeting and separation. Separation is four types. That is Purvarag, Man, Premvachitya, and Prabhas. Some say Dur Prabhas. So already we heard about Purvarag, and now finishing Man. Man is two type, Sahoitu, that with cause, and Ahoitik, that with no cause. So, we heard about the different ways of pacification of man, by hearing, by inference, by drishta. Okay. So, all that we discussed last class. So we're just continuing on some more examples. Especially here is asking about Gotra Skalana. Okay. Sometimes man is understood by some anuman, some inference is the cause of man. So Vijay asks, what is Gotra Skalana? When this occurs, it is more painful than death for the Nayaka, for the Gopi. So what is that? Once when Krishna was returning to his home after spending time with Srimati Radhika, he suddenly met with Chandravali. So of course Krishna's mind absorbed in Radhika. When Chandravali came suddenly, then Krishna asked by mistake, "Oh Radhika, how are you?" So that time Chandravali of course became offended and asked, "Oh Kamsa, how are you?" Then Krishna thought, why Chandravali is asking, calling me Kamsa? Oh, then he could understand his mistake. Then he said, "Oh beautiful one," he said to Chandravali, "why are you angry?" That time Chandravali replied, "Where have you seen Radha near here?" Okay, so this is the example of Gotra Skalana. Okay, Krishna understood the situation and thought, "Oh, I have addressed Chandravali as Radha by mistake." Understanding his own mistake, he felt ashamed and lowered his lotus face. He was also smiling mildly to see Chandravali's reaction. Okay. So may this Hari dispel the miseries of everyone. Okay. What is understanding and what sometimes man also awoken through a dream? What example? One time Krishna and his Vidusak, remember Krishna has 5 types of assistants. One is the Vidusaks, like Madhumangal, the jokers. One time Krishna and Chandravali were sleeping together on the same bed after enjoying pastimes together. While dreaming, Krishna said, "O Radhe, I promise you that you alone are my most beloved. Only you are inside and outside my heart. Only you are in front of me and behind me and everywhere. What more can I say? Only you are present in my house, in Govardhan, and in all the valleys of Braj." And Chandravali is there listening. When Chandravali heard this, she got up in Man and went away. Okay. And sometimes we heard there's three types. One is through friends. One time Madhumanga was dreaming. So Madhumanga was outside the Kunj. Of course the Priyanama Sakhas have Madhura Ras, but to some limit. Therefore outside the Kunj in which Krishna and Chandravali were inside, in his dream, right, Madhumanga was speaking, "O Madhavi," Madhavi is the name of Radhika. "O Madhavi, Krishna is talking very expertly and flatteringly. And Krishna is talking very expertly and flattering Padma's Sakhi Chandravali, just to deceive her. Try to bring Radha here quickly so that she can meet with Krishna. Don't worry." When Chandravali heard this, Madhumangal's dream, she became distressed. At that time, Padma was sitting in a nearby Kunj. When she saw Chandravali's condition, she said to Sabya, these are the Sakhis of Chandravali, Sabya and Padma, "O Sakhi, just see how miserable Chandravali's face has become since she heard Madhumangal speaking in a dream. She has lowered her head and is burning with grief." Okay. And Vijay asked, what is darshan? Okay. Darshan, Dritva. This means the Nayaka directly sees her Nayak, her beloved, engaging in pastimes with another gopi. What is causeless man? Okay, these are the causes of man with cause. Sahetu man. What is causeless man? Goswami says, causeless man develops between the Nayak and the Nayika when pranaya is enhanced by an apparent cause for man, although there is no cause really. Okay, the cause of this man is pranaya. And that causeless man is nothing but an extension of pranaya, right? Arising from vilas. Okay, we understand, we heard about the different stages of Staibhav. Okay, so man is a development of pranaya. When pranaya reaches a high level, then it turns into man with no cause. Also, that the movements of prema is crooked like a snake. Like a snake goes side to side but goes direct. So the movements of prema are crooked. Sometimes man comes for no reason. Therefore the two types of man are evident in the dealings between the Nayak and the Nayak. Man without a cause and man with a cause. These are the two movements of prema. The Vyabhachari bhav in this rasa is concealing one's emotion, right? Not expressing one's unhappiness or the cause of one's unhappiness. These are the Sanchari bhavs, Vyabhachari bhavs of man. How is man pacified? This man is pacified by itself. It does not need any remedy. When man has no cause, just some understanding, then no need to pacify that man. When laughter occurs, man disappears automatically. However, to pacify man when it has a cause, then Krishna has to adopt various means, such as some consoling words, bed, diplomatic remarks, kriya, taking an oath, dan, some gift, nati, bowing down, upeksha, neglect and indifference, and rasanta, a change in mood. A sign that the Nayaka's man has been pacified is that the Nayak wipes away her tears, there is laughter and so on. So Vijay said, I want to hear example of Krishna pacifying man with words. What is sam? Consolation with sweet words. Sam is the use of sweet, pleasing words and promises to pacify the priya, the beloved. What is bed? Right? There are 4 ways to control someone, even in materialistic life. Sam, dan, bed, and danda. Danda means punishment. The punishment cannot be used here. What is bed? Diplomatic remarks. Okay. There are 2 types of beds. Expressing one's greatness. Another is rebuking the nayak, indirectly through the sakis, through some messenger. What is dan? Dan is deceitful presentation of ornaments and other gifts. Like sometimes to pacify Radhika's mind, Krishna gives his peacock feather, Krishna gives his flute. Right? This is deceitful because Radharani will never keep those things. Okay? What is nati? Humble submission. Nati means to fall at the Nayaka's feet with all possible humility. Nati. What is upeksha? Neglect. Neglect is the mood of apparently abandoning the Nayaka, when all other moods of pacifying her have proved fruitless. Others say upeksha refers to remarks with double meaning, to please the Nayak. Sometimes if man is very strong, then Krishna has to go away. Radharani abuses him, chastises him, he has to go. So when he goes away, that time he reverts to another method, like playing the flute or something. So when Krishna does go away, then Radharani's separation, of course, increases so much. Then she laments, why I treated Krishna like that. Okay, what does rasanta, change of mood, entail? Rasanta is a sudden creation of fear in the Nayaka's mind by words or some natural occurrence, like thunderbolt. Like one time Krishna came late, Radharani was in Man, and Radharani left Krishna, then by the arrangement of providence, one big snake came on the path. Then Radhika became afraid and ran back into the arms of Krishna. Okay? So, to create some fear in the Nayaka's heart, there is 2 types of rasanta, a change of mood, that which occurs by itself, and that which is incurred by the intelligence of Krishna. What's an example of change of mind that takes place by chance? Once Krishna was unable to pacify Radhika's mind despite many endeavors. Suddenly there was a tremendous sound of thunder which frightened Bhadra so much. She had once embraced Krishna who was sitting near her. Another example of the intelligence of the Nayak changes the heart of Radhika. Radharani was angry. Krishna had given her a flower garland. She took that garland off and threw on Krishna. Then Krishna made a face as if that had caused him great pain and suffering. When Radharani saw pain in the heart of Krishna, her heart melted. She embraced and pacified Krishna. Then Krishna began to laugh. So this is an example. There are 2 examples there. Are there any other means to pacify man? Like Krishna uses many, like disguises also. The man of the gopis can be pacified in special times and special places. With the sound of the flute. No? Mild man can be pacified without much effort, whereas strong man requires strenuous efforts. The most deeply rooted man, Durjai man, is extremely difficult to pacify. That time Krishna have to take shelter of many disguises, many plans. So in man, the gopis use many charming ways they address Krishna, such as Bam, ungrateful one, Durlalit, Siromani, crest jewel of mischief makers, Kitavraj, the king of cheaters, Kalshrest, the best of cheaters or wicked persons, Mahadurt, crooked ruffian, Kator, one who is very cruel-hearted, Nirlaja, shameless, Atidulalid, Gopi Kamuk, Ramani Chor, one who steals away the wives of others, Gopi Dharma Nasak, one who destroys the religion of the gopis, Gop Sadvi Vidambak, one who mocks the chastity of the gopis, Kamukeshwar, the Lord of lust, many ways. The gopis speak badly to Krishna when they're in man. Okay, so very nice explanation there of the second type of separation, of vidaha, that is man. And the third one is prem vachitra. Prem vachitra refers to heartfelt pains of separation that the nayak feels even when she is very close to Krishna. That means they are together, but still somehow separation is felt by the gopi. And its intrinsic nature of prem, this, right, the staibhava, this is prem. The super excellent features of this result in a type of helplessness or agitation of the mind that creates an illusion of being separate from Krishna even while being in his presence. It is called vaichitti. Famous example at Prem Sarovar. One time Radha and Krishna were together. One name of Krishna is Madhusudan, who was drinking the honey of the affection of the gopis. At that time, one bumblebee is also Madhusudan because he's always drinking honey. So one bumblebee mistook the lotus face of Radhika to be a lotus because so nice fragrance comes from Radhika's breath. That bee was going again and again near Radhika, and these black bumblebees are quite large. Radhika felt fear. Therefore Madhumangal, who was there, he took a thin stick and he beat away that bee and he chased it to a distant place. Then he said, I have thrown away Madhusudan very far away, he will not return. So Madhumangal, of course, was indicating the bee, but Radhika heard the name Madhusudan and she thought of her Krishna. What? Krishna has gone far away and will not return? And then thinking Krishna has left, Radhika began to weep in separation from Krishna, even though she was on the lap of Krishna. So Krishna saw that and became astonished. Oh, what taste is there in separation? Okay, so this is Prem Vachitra. And last, the fourth type of vidaha, that is prabhas. Here not mentioned, but prabhas, two types. When Krishna just goes a little distance away, and Dura prabhas when Krishna goes a great distance away, like to Mathura or to Dwarka. So prabhas is the obstruction or hindrance between the nayak and the nayak when they have been together and are now separated. Because they live in different countries or different villages, or because of some difference in mood. In prabhas, one experiences all the vyabhachari bhavs of Srngara-rasa except jubilation, pride, madness and shyness. There are two types of prabhas, that which is intentional and that which is not, which takes a place due to providence. What is intentional prabhas? Intentional prabhas is when the nayak goes away because of some obligation or responsibility to Mathura, example, or to Dwarka. For why Krishna goes to Mathura and Dwarka? Krishna is always Bhakta Vatsal. He is always so much affectionate and inclined and indebted towards the devotees. The Pandavas, for example, Vasudeva and Devaki in Dwarka, for example, Shrutadev, King Shrutadev from Mathila, these are all great devotees. How Krishna can forget them? To give them happiness and to fulfill their desires, Krishna leaves Braj and goes to different places. Right? That is example why Krishna goes to Duraprabhas, a very distant place. Also why Krishna leaves Nandagaon, because in the forest there's many insects and birds and trees, deers, peacocks, They also have lamenting for Krishna's darshan, so Krishna goes here and there. Okay, so these are two examples. Okay, here it is. Prabhas has two further divisions, just going out of sight even though remaining close, and second, going to a great distant place. There are three types of Sudur Prabhas according to phases of time, past, present and future. Right? Gogumaj explained that. Now I'm reading. Right? For example, Krishna is still in Braj, but news has spread Krishna will go to Mathura. Okay, that is that is the present condition of Durprabhas. Krishna is still there, but feel if the fear is he will go. Okay, for example. What is intentional prabhas? Unintentional prabhas. Unintentional is caused by subordination to others and circumstances beyond the control of Krishna. There are various types of subordination, such as divya, adivya, and divya-divya. There are 10 states which occur in this stage of separation. Thoughtfulness, sleeplessness, anxiety, becoming thin, blackening, dark, becoming the face and limbs become dark, incoherent talk, illness, madness, bewilderment, and longing for death. In Vipralamba caused by Krishna going to a different place, these 10 states manifest even in Krishna. Right? And when the Gopi, Krishna went to Mathura, even in Dwarka, Krishna have all these symptoms. Because separation felt by Krishna also, not just the Gopis. My dear Vijay, although various states such appear as anubhavs in the different distinct types of prema, I have not mentioned them all. Gradually all of these states appear as the effect of the gradations of prema, beginning from sneha and developing through man, pranay, rag, anurag and bhav up to mahabhav. However, the stage of mohan, which I have already explained, manifests only in Radhika. Okay. As Vijay was thinking all this, all the instructions he heard on the 4 types of Vipralamba, he thought Vipralamba ras is not an independent phenomenon or a self-perfected ras. Right? It's not self-perfected. Why? Because its only role is to nourish meeting. It simply promotes and nourishes the mood of sambhoga. Right? The meaning is, even though we hear that Vipralamba is such a high taste, still the goal of that is always to meet with Krishna. Otherwise, in separation, the gopis are tasting so much in separation. When Krishna meets, they would tell Krishna, go away so we can experience Vipralamba more. But that does not happen. Right? So for that reason, here Bhaktivinoda Thakur says Vipralamba is not self-perfected or independent. Always remember, it's there to nourish the happiness of meeting. For a jiva bound to worldliness, such pangs of separation manifest in a special way. However, in the transcendental ras, the bhav of Vipralamba exists eternally. Okay. In fact, the variegatedness of spiritual pastimes cannot be invoked to its fullest degree without Vipralamba. Okay. So let's move straight into chapter 38. Mukhya-sambhoga, meeting. We heard about separation, now we're hearing about meeting, and Ashta-kaliya-lila. Now this chapter is quite long. It could be one of the biggest chapters in Jaiva-Dharma. Okay, so no way we're going to finish this one in one day. Yes, this chapter almost 30 pages. So Vijay, immediately he asked about sambhoga, meeting. Goswami said there are 2 types of Krishna Lila, manifest Prakat Lila in this world, and unmanifest Aprakat, that which manifests in Golok. There are two types of Krishna Lila, prakat and aprakat. The states of separation in Vipralas that I have described correspond to prakat Lila, right? Only in this world, those four types of viraha are there, right? Purvarag, because the gopis are always with Krishna. That Purvarag cannot be felt in the experienced in the spiritual world, right? And Durprabhas, Krishna doesn't go to Mathura or Dwarka in the spiritual world, right? So the states of viraha that I have described correspond to prakat lila in this world. However, in aprakat braj, there is no separation of the Braja Devis from Krishna, who is eternally engaged in the blissful lila such as Ras Lila, right? Because Krishna never goes to Mathura, Dwarka and Goloka Vrindavan. Okay. In Mathura Mahatmya it says Krishna plays eternally with the gopis and gopis there. In the Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna never leaves. So separation is not there like we see in the Leelas in this world. Okay, don't think that when Krishna comes to the material world, don't think Goloka Vrindavan becomes empty. No. Krishna, in one Sarup, he is always there because the aprakat lila never stops. So in this verb, the kriya is in present tense. It means that Krishna's pastimes are always present, they're always eternal. Therefore, in the aprakat lila of Golok, there is no separation caused by Krishna's going to a distant place. Right? We explained that already. And in a real sense, anyway, better not to give too much extra commentary. Love and union, separation always exists there. Okay. The Nayak and the Nayak are respectively the object, the Visaya and the Ashraya of Prema. And the term Sambhog refers to the wonderful feeling that arises from their loving dealings, such as seeing each other, talking together, excuse me, and touching each other, the object of which is solely to give pleasure to each other. There are two types of Sambhog, Mukhya and Gonya, primary and secondary. What is Mukhya-sambhoga? Excuse me. There are four types of meeting, Mukhya-sambhoga. Sankshipt, Sankirna, Sampan and Samriddhiman. Right? Four types of sambhoga. Sankshipt means brief, very brief meeting. Sankirna means shrunken meeting, restricted meeting. Sampan means perfect, pure, perfect, like enriched sambhoga. Right? That takes place when the Nayak and the Nayak have been somewhat distanced from each other from some time. Right? So the meeting after that brief separation, that is called Sampan, Sambhoga. And finally, when Radha Krishna have been separated from a great distance for a long time, the meeting, when they come together, that is called Samriddhiman Sambhoga. Okay, can you remember the four types of Sambhoga? Sankshipt, Sankirna, Sampan, and Samriddhiman. Four types of meeting. What is Sankshipt Sambhoga? Sankshipt Sambhoga is characterized by there is still shyness between the Nayak and the Nayaka. So the meeting is very brief and hasty. Samkirna Sambhoga. The Nayak endeavors for amorous pastimes. There is some pleasure and some pain expressed. This is like drinking boiling hot sugarcane juice. It's very sweet but gives some burning sensation. This state results from her remembering when Krishna cheated her. So still, right? So the meeting is not complete because still the gopi remembers that. She cannot throw that completely from her mind. Therefore not the full happiness of meeting. No? Maybe she has heard from some messenger like a parrot, or she has seen with her own eyes. We already talked about the three things which are the cause of man. So even though man is there, when the meeting is there, but that is not full meeting because the Nayak, she remembers all these things. That's why it's called Srngara-rasa-vicara, restricted meeting. What is Sambhoga? That is when the Nayak returns to the Nayaka after being away for a short time. There are two types, Agati and Pradurbhav. Agati, is it when Krishna appears after some routine separation? No. And the other one is when he returns from a more longer separation. Pradurbhav refers to Krishna's sudden appearance when they are extremely overwhelmed by prem. Like in Ras-lila, the gopis were searching for Krishna. At that time he appeared there near Srngara-rasa-vicara. That is called Pradurbhav. Oh yes, same example he gave there. So Pradurbhav, there is a festival of great happiness arising from the fulfillment of one's cherished desires. So that meeting after a very severe separation, that is called Samriddhiman. That is called Sambhoga. And what is Samriddhiman Sambhoga? It is not possible for the lovers to meet all the time because they are controlled by others, subordinate to the relatives. Jatila, Katila are there. They have other duties. So to prefer the profuse bliss that they experience when they meet suddenly after being released from these external pressures is called Samriddhiman Sambhoga. There are two types of Sambhoga ras, namely concealed and manifest, but we will not hear that now. Okay. Therefore, Jatila, Katila, all these things increase the happiness of meeting. Therefore, Yogamaya manifests them. So the four types of Mukhya-sambhoga, can you remember them? Samkin, Sankship, Sankin, Sampan, and Samriddhiman. Okay, try to remember that, the four types of Mukhya-sambhoga. What is Gaunya-sambhoga, secondary meeting? That refers to the particular pastimes of Krishna that experienced during dreams. There are two kinds of dreams, general and special. I've already described general dreams in context of Vyabhachari Bhava. Right? We heard already in separation. Some meeting is there also in dream. Right? The Sambhoga in special dreams is experienced as real and completely amazing. Actually, the dream of Radha Krishna, this is also real because they have no mayak, material intelligence or material mind. Right? Radha Krishna and his devotees are always in Turiya-avastha. They are not affected like us by the differences in consciousness between wakefulness, dream state, right, or deep dreaming. So the dreams of Radha Krishna are also real. They are not imaginary or illusionary. So, when they have special dreams, that time the meeting they have in dreams is just as real, experienced, as if they were directly awake. This Gaunya-sambhoga has the same four divisions as Mukhya-sambhoga: Sankship, Sankirana, Sampan, Samriddhiman. Right? For example, in dream, when Krishna goes Mathura or Dwarka, the gopis dream of meeting with Krishna. That is also one type of meeting. Vijay said, but in a dream nothing actually happens. So how is Samriddhiman Sambhoga at all possible? Right? When you dream, you're just lying there, right? Nothing's happening. So how can you meet with Krishna in a dream? Okay. So Goswami says the swarup of a dream is the same as that of the waking state. Right? Of course, material example we cannot use here, but still, what we experience in life, we see that in a dream. This is demonstrated by the example of Usha and Aniruddha. While Usha was asleep in King Bana's inner courtyards in Sonatpur, she was dreaming of the pleasure of meeting with Anirudh. At the same time, Anirudh was in his sleeping chamber in Dwarka, and he was also enjoying the pleasure of meeting Usha in his dream. Of course, ordinary people cannot experience this. Goes without saying. We can substantiate this fact by further evidence of direct perception. There are examples of Siddha Bhaktas, right? Not sadhaks, but siddhas, who have wonderful dreams in which they receive articles or ornaments which are with them when they still wake up. A wonderful example of this is Srngara-rasa-vicara. If you see in his pastimes 2-3 times, like one pastime he's doing Holi with the gopis, and when he came to consciousness he was covered in Holi. So devotees like Srinivas, we see these things. So Siddha Bhakti is when they wake up from dream, when they wake up they still have that same. That is a very astonishing thing. Because such dreams are themselves reality. Like high class Vaishnava, they dream, we cannot say this is illusory or false. Like a few years ago, Madhusudana Maharaj had a dream and many people were saying, what is this? Dream is not evidence, dream is not real. But a high class person have dream, that dream is real. No, that dream is not imaginary like ours. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur giving some praman, no? So these dreams are of two types. The dream that occurs while one is awake, imagine that. Daydreaming, material example like daydreaming. Sometimes someone they're awake but fully absorbed in thinking something. Of course the Vaishnavas, their daydream is a little different from ours, right? So the dream that one occurs while one is awake, Jaragyaman Snapla, and the condition of awakefulness that occurs while one is in a dream. How's that? So when you're awake while sleeping, that is one type, and when you're dreaming while awake, that is another type. The dreams of gopis who have transcended the fourth state, namely samadhi, and attained the fifth state of life called prema, their dreams are not false like the dreams that are caused by the mode of passion in this world. Rather, the dreams of the gopis are aprakrit and nirgun, and absolutely real. Consequently, it is perfectly possible for Samriddhiman-sambhoga to take place in the highly astonishing aprakrit dream pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. For example, sometimes Krishna in Dwarka, he also dreaming and catching his pillow, he cries, "Oh Radhe, oh Radhe." That time Rukmini is there, but still Krishna is meeting with Radhika in dream. So this can occur even in Krishna, then what to speak of the Braja Gopis. Right? Okay. So please explain the Avirbhavs of Sambhoga. Okay, I think this is referring to the Mukhya-sambhoga. Anubhavs, remember what Anubhavs are? Anubhavs are like physical manifestations in the body of an internal mood. Anubhav, that which follows bhavs, that which follows the mood, like singing, rolling on the ground. We heard these Anubhavs. So what are the Anubhavs of meeting? The Anubhavs of Sambhoga are speaking with each other, seeing each other, touching. Therefore everything the gopis and Krishna does, everything is an Anubhav. Everything is a manifestation of ras. Seeing each other, talking, touching, blocking each other's way in a solitary path. When the gopis go to meet, the gopis go to take some yogurt or ghee to sacrifice of the rishis. That time Krishna blocks. Where you're going? You have to pay tax. Whose flowers are those? You should give me some. These are Anubhavs. Talking, touching, blocking each other's way in a solitary path. Ras-lila, pastimes in Vrindavan, playing in the Yamuna, boat pastimes, stealing flowers, demanding taxes, hide and seek pastimes, drinking honey wine, Krishna dressing in female attire, pretending to sleep, gambling, pulling off each other's garments, kissing, embracing, making nail marks, drinking the nectar of each other's lips, and enjoying amorous union. These are the anubhavs of Mukhya-sambhoga. Wow. Mukhya-sambhoga, I should say. So, Prabhu, Lila Vilas is distinct from amorous union. Which of these give more pastimes? Wow. There is more bliss in Lila Vilas than in Samprayog. Krishna feels more happiness in his pastimes than in amorous union. Krishna's enjoyment is never material and mundane like this world. The gopis, how do the gopis address Krishna? Already heard in Man how they address Krishna, but in meeting how they address Krishna. O Gokulananda, O Govinda, O Gostrananda, Gostendra Kulachandra, Hey Praneshwara, Hey Sundara Tamsa, Hey Naga Sirumani, Hey Brindavan Chandra. In meeting there is another way of addressing Krishna, and in separation is another way. Okay. But in the abuse that Krishna gets in separation gives more happiness to him. In Man. Man kori mor kiya kore batsan vedstuti hoite horiman. When my beloveds abuse me, that time the happiness I feel that steals my mind from the hymns of the Vedas. Means the happiness I get from hearing the abuse of the gopis when they are angry with me in Man, that gives me more happiness than the prayers of the personified Vedas. Okay, now we will hear. Okay. There are two types of Krishna Lila, Prakat and Aprakat. But still they are this one and the same tattva. Please explain to me the different types of Prakat Braj Lila. Okay. That is, there are two types of Krishna Lila. That which is Nitya and that which is Naimitic. The Braj pastimes that take place during the 8 periods of the day, that is Nitya-lila or Ashta-kaliya-lila. Whereas Krishna's killing of Putana, Aghasur and Bakasur, and Krishna's going away to Mathura and Dwarka, these are all Naimitic lila. Okay, Naimitic means, what's a good word? We have to be very careful in our definitions. Naimitic means temporary. But of course, we cannot also use that word, definition of temporary, because Krishna's Leela is always in this world going on somewhere. So, anyway, Naimitic means only here in the material world, only in the Prakat Leela. Please instruct me about the Nitya Leela, about the Ashta-kaliya-lila. There are two types of descriptions, those by the Rishis and those by the 6 Goswamis. What would you like to hear? I would like to hear about that description of Ashta-kaliya-lila from the Rishis. No, maybe Bhaktivinoda Thakur is thinking, maybe ordinary persons don't have too much faith in the 6 Goswamis, so for that reason he gives maybe more pramanic, or what general person will accept as more evidential, that is the statements of the various Rishis. Okay, here is description of the Ashta-kaliya-lila. Ashta means 8. Kal means Kaliya means time. Right? So the 8-fold divisions of Krishna's daily pastimes. Of course, Krishna's day is eternal, because in the spiritual world there is no past or no future. Of course, this is achintya, inconceivable for us. Okay, Brajeshwari Devi says, Naimitic means exclusive to the material world. Okay, fair enough. But still, remember we heard already that mood, the mood is there in Aprakat Braj. Like, already heard the Abhiman. The feeling is, Krishna did kill Putana. That feeling is also there in Goloka Vrindavan. So we cannot say exclusively to the material world, because that Abhiman, that feeling is there also. So better just use the Sanskrit, Naimitic. Okay, so Krishna's in Aprakat Goloka Vrindavan, in the transcendental spiritual world, Krishna's day is eternal. Because in the spiritual world there is no material time, right? There is no past, there is no future. So Krishna's day is also eternal. But still, even in the eternal day, there's also daytime and nighttime. There's breakfast, lunch and dinner. So really it's achintya. So material intelligence we cannot use too much to understand this subject matter. So, what are the 8 divisions, the pastimes of Krishna and his associates, which are divided to 8 divisions? They are Nisant, Prataha, Purvan, Madhyan, Aparan, Sayan, Pradosh, or Ratri. If you have the green edition, page 778. Nishant, the end of night just before dawn, this is Ashta-kaliya-lila. Right, when we sing Mangalati, no? Mangala Ashta-kaliya-lila, we sing like that. No? Mangala Sri Guru Gaura Mangaludai, Mangalo Rati Kori, Makateri Doi. So we sing about Ashta-kaliya-lila, means that night time is ended and daytime is coming before dawn. Brahma Muhurta, that is Nishant. Prataha means, of course, after Brahma Muhurta begins. What is it, 96 minutes before the sunrise? So that period, 1 hour after sunrise, from that time begins Prataha. Okay, all the times are given here. Right, so only the Madhyan Lila, the midday pastimes, and the Ratri Lila, the nighttime pastimes, those 2 divisions each go for 6 muhurtas each. 6 times 48, what's that? 5 hours each. Okay? So midnight pastimes, that division is 5 hours, and lunchtime pastimes at Radhakund, that is also 5 hours. And all the rest only go for 3 muhurtas, or 3 times 48 minutes. What's that? Like 2.5? Anyway, 1.5 hours. So Ashta-kaliya-lila, 1.5 hours. Prataha, morning pastimes, 1.5 hours. Purvan, forenoon pastimes, just before noon, 1.5 hours. Madhyan Lila, when Krishna goes to Radhakund, that is 5 hours of pastimes. Aparan, afternoon pastimes, 1.5 hours. Sayan, afternoon and dusk, 1.5. Pradosh, evening, 1.5. And Ratri, 5 hours. Sadashiv had explained this lila in Sanat Kumar Samhita. Right, if I'm not Narad Muni, anyway, must be the 4 Kumaras, I guess. Narad Muni or the 4 Kumaras asked, sometimes they asked from Sadashiv. No, Sadashiv, he's also Guru, right? He knows everything. So they heard, the 4 Kumaras heard from Sadashiv about this Ashta-kaliya-lila. Therefore the 4 Kumaras also meditate on Radha Krishna, Radharani. No? Sanat Sanat Kanan Kurunam Kurumai Kurunam Balite Sanaka Sanatanavanita Charita. The 4 Kumaras meditate also on Radhika. The 4 Kumaras meditate on everyone. So why not Radhika? So the 4 Kumaras heard from Sadashiv about this. Can I hear what Sadashiv said? Yes. Okay. Sadashiv said, Sri Krishna's beloved damsels in Braj, who have the sentiment of Parakya Bhav, they please him with all the profuse moods of prema. O Narad, you should contemplate your Atma Swarup in the following manner. You are a Kishori, a pre-adolescent gopi, and you reside in the very heart of transcendental Vrindavan. Amidst the other damsels of Krishna, you are endowed with a sentiment of being a paramour of Krishna, a beloved, Madhurya Ras. You have a charming, youthful form, and enchanting, intoxicating beauty. Okay, you should think of yourself as a young gopi, You're accomplished in many fine arts. Even if Krishna desires to meet with you, you will not agree. You are averse to pleasure unrelated to the pleasure of Radhika, of your Swamini. Okay, your Yuteshwari. You are the maidservant of Sri Krishna's most beloved consort, Sri Radhika, and you are wholly and exclusively dedicated to her seva. You always have more prema for Sri Radhika than for Sri Krishna. Right? We heard about the 5 types of sakis. So the jiva cannot be the 4 types of sakis because they are nitya sakis, but can be pran saki. Okay, the pran saki are called Radha Adik Sneha. They have more affection for Radhika than for Krishna. All these things we heard in the previous chapters. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur giving this praman from the Sadashiv Samhita, the Sanat Kumar Samhita. Okay. Every day you must endeavor, with much endeavor you arrange for the meeting of the youthful couple, Radha Krishna. And your happiness is their happiness. Thus, while conceiving of your Atma in this way, in your Sarup, you should painstakingly render service in transcendental Vrindavan from Brahma Muhurta to the end of Nisanta-lila. Okay? So many people want to remember the pastimes of Krishna, but first you have to have some position in that lila. Right? The pastimes of Krishna are not like watching a football game on a television, right? Just like the pastimes of the Manasi Seva, the pastimes of Radha Krishna, means you are remembering your service in those pastimes. So first you have to have a sarup, you have to actually achieve the position in the pastimes of Krishna. Otherwise, how can you perform this type of remembrance? So when a person is not qualified but tries to meditate artificially on all these things, in other words, he is trying to perform a meditation for which he is not worthy, not qualified, then how can you possibly expect to get the result? That is impossible. No? So very carefully we should follow this Jaiva-Dharma and understand at what stage Bhaktivinoda Thakur is recommending meditation on the pastimes of Krishna. Thus, while conceiving of your Sarup in this particular way, you should painstakingly render Manasi Seva in transcendental Vrindavan from Brahma Muhurta to the end of the Ratri Lila. Okay? So more of these 11 symptoms of the Sarup which Sadashiv has mentioned to Narad, we will hear more about that in chapter 40. But in this conversation, 11 things are mentioned. Okay, so let's just do pranam here and meditate. No? We should also know that ultimately this is our prayojan, our goal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the same instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami. Amadana Madana Hoibe Krishna Nama Sadaloibe Braje Radha Krishna Seva Manasi Korebe. Raghunath Goswami, he would take instructions always from Surup Damodar. But sometimes he must have also directly taken permission to take instruction directly from Lord Chaitanya. So that time, he would go, and Mahaprabhu gave him those instructions, considering oneself more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, giving all respects to others and not demanding respect for oneself. Amanana Madana Habraja. Amanana Manana Habe Krishna Nama Sadalobe. Always chant the name of Krishna. And Braje Radha Krishna Seva Manase. And in Braj, always render service to Radha Krishna within your mind. What is the actual what level Raghunath Goswami was on when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him those instructions? You have to look. We cannot think I will imitate and do the same meditation as Raghunath Das Goswami when I am not on the level of Raghunath Das Goswami. So this disease of wanting to jump, for which one is unqualified, this particular disease caused so much chaos in Gaudiya Sampradaya. Not the real followers. Like we see the Sahajas, don't want to talk too much about them, but the subject unavoidably comes up. How much Gurudev warned again and again, don't go to Radha Kund and associate with these type of persons who do not look at the qualification of the sadhak and recommend everyone to perform Manasi Seva. No? Gurudev constantly warned us about this. Because this meditation is not a product of the material mind and intelligence. We heard all these things before, no? All these moods not need some mental adjustment. They arise spontaneously from the heart, no? From the purified soul. And we will hear all this more in the next few chapters. This meditation is not imaginary. It's a result of Sudanam. Right? The Suddha Sattva, which is the essence of Samvida Nadini, this is revealing all these pastimes and the moods of the devotee and the pastimes of Radha Krishna. In simple language, all this meditation is the result of chanting the pure name of Krishna, Sudanam. It is not a result of imagination while chanting Nama Parad or Nama Bas. So Gurudev so much warned us against this, so much he preached against it. And what happened after Gurudev left? People have no real transcendental attachment to Gurudev. Attachment to Gurudev means, oh Gurudev, I love you. It's not like that. Because Gurudev has Vapu and Vani. So we should, of course, not that the Vapu of the body of Gurudev is not important. We are not saying, but always we should give so much more importance to the Vani of Gurudev. The instructions of Gurudev. Because with material senses, what we can perceive of Gurudev now that we see in this world. So, many people only have some sentimental attachment to the Vapu, the form of Gurudev, but they never try to deeply enter and understand his teachings. So when Gurudev left, what happened? Some people, of course, they immediately went to Radhakund, and they took another initiation. Oh, I not received perfection. Maybe the mantras I got from my Gurudev were not good enough. Maybe I need some more mantras. I need a new guru, a new process. So they go and take reinitiation or more mantras or whatever you want to call it from someone else. This is great offense to bona fide guru. This is great offense. That means you are rejecting what he gave you and taking something else. There is no more serious offense in spiritual life than to do that. So one should always be very careful. So there was one sannyasi, actually he took sannyas from Gurudev, but he was always a little sentimental. And anyway, whatever. So he went to Radhakund, he met new Babaji and took mantra from that. And that Babaji said, you should meditate yourself as a gopi and meditate on the pastimes of Radha Krishna. So he would write on fast, but I never felt so close to Radha Krishna. Like this he was writing for a few weeks, As if, 10 years with Gurudev couldn't give him realization, but now 1 week with this new guy, he's realizing all these things, But still, sometimes you cut a tree off at the base, you cut a tree off, still the leaves remain green for a few days, a few weeks. So even though you've cut off connection with transcendence at the root by rejecting Guru, still outside it looks like doing okay. So this guy, he took off the sannyas cloth given by Gurudev, he changed his name, he stopped the mantras given by Gurudev, he stopped the process given by Gurudev, he stopped the seva given by Gurudev. He threw all that and now he's taken all these things, new things. So what happened? One day he was at Radhakund and he realized, I shouldn't even repeat what he says because it's not very good. But anyway, the long and short is that he realized that Jesus was the best. So he gave up completely Harinam, he gave up Radhakund, everything he gave up and went and again become like a born-again Christian. That means 20 years, what he hearing and what studying, he threw away because a result of offense. This is what happens when an unqualified person tries to follow something for which he is unqualified. No? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says how one makes advancement, first one should be established in what one is currently qualified for. No? Like steps on a ladder. First you put all your weight on your present step. No? Then gradually you put your foot to the next step, Then slowly you transfer your weight, then you give up what you previously practiced and move to a higher thing. So yes, he went back to Jesus Christ. Anyway, so that's why we always should be very careful when we hear these high topics. No, that's why we haven't just started from the end of the Jaiva-Dharma. That's why we tried to go through in a systematic way, step by step, step by step. That's why some people don't like to read the third section of Jaiva-Dharma, because we are not qualified. But we can hear, but we should hear in a very careful manner, and understanding, this is the future. This is where I have to go. This is where Guru Parampara want to take me. And you cannot say everyone is unqualified for this third section. There may be some sadhaks, this third section, apart from these teachings of Jaiva-Dharma, they have no other way to advance in higher stages of bhajan. So something should be there for them also. Anyway, so day after tomorrow we'll hear this Ashta-kaliya-lila. So everyone should just think carefully and patiently, where am I and where are these topics? And in a gradual and mature way we can hear these things. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram.